All right, and welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. Now, this is the first episode that I am recording at home. It is the holidays, it is Christmas, and it's so crazy how there's just that almost like a forecast, little shadow of above everyone of stress. It is crazy, and I understand it. It's in a difficult time for everyone, whether it's financially, whether it's just family, whether it's just any other emotion, it's personal. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of us are stressed about maybe wanting to spend more money than we actually have, or be able to provide for our families in certain manners. Some of us don't have a lot of family around, so maybe the holidays feel a little bit isolating and things in that regard. Some of us are just going through life shifts, life changes, and it's just that time of year where everyone's being so consistent and showing up in so many different areas that the pressure naturally that the end of the year is here, just kind of crumbles a lot of people. And it's something I guess I just wasn't used to seeing or being as focused on, I guess, when I was away for the last 4 months. So I find that is quite the observation just based on being home and doing some goal setting myself and, getting ready to lock in the rest of this year, which brings me to today's episode. We have 18 days left of the year in 2025 as of Sunday, I think December 14th right now. I'm recording it and I'm uploading it today. So just crazy. 18 days on this day to the end of the year. And next thing you know, it's 2026 and the race starts all over again. The clock starts all over again. Christmas is over, New Year's is over. There's no real big holidays until Easter. There's Valentine's Day, of course, but that's nothing too crazy. So just crazy, fuck, what a year. Holy shit, that just leads me to, like I said, to the main topic is that there's 18 days left. The year's practically done, but that does not mean there's not enough time left in the year to change your life. A lot of us right now are just giving up, letting things be as they are, and just letting the chaos of everyone's schedule, the time commitment, seeing everyone, family, friends, or stress, whatever it is you're going through and dealing with during these times, good, bad, upright, left, right, doesn't really matter. You're dealing with things of way more commitments in every other area. So you may be feeling like you're being pulled many directions. It's chaotic and it's meant to be that way. A lot of people are going on vacation. It's the time of year, it's the holidays, things are meant to be chaotic, but that doesn't mean that just because there's only 18 days left in the year, you give up, you let everything go, and just automatically just say, okay, this time next year, like I'm going to start or be where I want to be. Like I know I'm going to start in January or whatever it may be. You're putting off the inevitable is the fact that you're just not showing up for yourselves because it's so chaotic and it's completely fine, but there's still so much time left in the year, 3 full weeks to there's still 3 full weeks in the year to show the fuck up and change your lifestyle, add new routines into your life, add new systems and habits into your life, and still become a person you're more proud of than you were today or yesterday. You just gotta stay focused. Do I understand that there's a lot going on? There's Christmas parties, there's friends, there's family, there's all these commitments, there's parties, there's birthdays, there's all kinds of stuff. Kids, everyone's crazy busy right now, and I understand there's a lot of pressure right now, but we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. The last 18 days of the year, there's still so much time to start focusing on hydration. Still continue to focus on hydration. That's one thing that every single one of us here listening to this episode can be is hydrated. Like, we live in a first world country, for fuck's sakes. If you're not hydrated, there's seriously something just honestly wrong with your commitments to your goals. Now, do you miss it? Every now and then because you're busy and maybe you can't drink water because of whatever reason, of course, like that's natural. But if you miss your water goal more often than not and you're dehydrated, it's just a lack of clarity and commitment to your goals. It really is at the end of the day. And there's 18 days left of the year. You can focus on that. You can lock that in. Same with nutrition. You don't got to go crazy high standards and track your macros and your micros and calories and everything in that regard, but you can definitely put more attention to the food you're eating. Is it whole foods? Are you eating takeout? Start making these adjustments, start making these slow little bits of pivots and changes, being 1% or 1% better each day. It accumulates and compounds, Start meal prepping your food, start looking into recipes and cooking and figuring out how you can make foods that are enjoyable so you don't feel like you're too bland or strict or eating just chicken or rice with no condiments and things in that regard. You can start putting a lot of effort, especially right now with the holidays. It's cooking season. A lot of people are cooking and baking, doing all kinds of crazy things like dinners and desserts and everything else in between that you can think about. And that still takes effort. So you can still take that time and allocate it into learning how to cook the season for yourself to enjoy it as much as you are going to be providing for some other people, if that makes sense. But it's just, you got to put effort into it. And 18 days is a long time. there's a lot of days to be able to capitalize on changing your eating habits and showing up in that regard. And, you could lose upwards of 5 pounds of fat in 3 weeks by focusing on the right things. You know what I mean? And if you've already been showing up a couple of tweaks, maybe even upwards of like 8, 10, depending on what you're really going through and how, on the other side of the fence you really are. And then movement's another big thing. 18 fucking days is 3 weeks. 3 weeks is almost, it could be a full-on program, depending on program's phase, depending on what kind of cycles you're running for your workout programs in that regard and what your goals are. So that's a lot of time to put in the gym. That's, if you have a standardized, let's say 3 weeks times, you just do chest, tries one day, back buys, another day, legs, shoulders and arms. Like that's literally 3 chest days, 3 leg days, 3 back days, 3 shoulder days, 3 whatever the other day that I said, workouts. If you're going for runs and you want to start picking up running, and you start this week going by doing 2, let's say 1 or 2 runs in 3 weeks, that is 6 runs you've done before the new year. You're already primed for it to have that much more of an effective jump come the start of the new year. That's either 3 to 6 runs you're doing more than you currently are right now. So you're shaking the dust off. You're learning what works for you. If you're doing high rocks for whatever you're doing for movement, and then outside of working out and actually moving your body for the, the aesthetics, longevity, building muscle functionally and everything in that regard, you got to move your body in general. You got to go for walks. If you have more vacation times, yes, you want to sleep in and enjoy your time off, but don't be afraid to walk around the neighborhood. Yeah, it's cold out, but just kind of suck it up. Me and Emma right now, we want to get our steps in. We're not used to it being as cold as it is. And, so we're talking today as we're goal setting for the last 18 days of the year and the first quarter of 2026. What do we got to do to get the steps in? We both agree we don't want to walk outside too much. So we're focusing on doing, we do 10 minutes before the gym. We can start implementing 30 minutes after the gym. That's 40 minutes right there. And then where we're staying at right now has a walking pad. So we can jump on the walking pad each for 20, 25 minutes. And that should hit anywhere between 8 to 10K steps. And then, once we do that for a week or two, or a few days at least, we can kind of gauge where we're at, and I'm really highlighting and emphasizing this because there's 18 days left of the year. There's 3 full weeks where you can start putting more effort into these things. And steps aren't just good for fat loss and aesthetics and muscle building and all those regards. When you're eating more food and being more chaotic through the times of the holidays, not only does it help with digestion, hormonal regularization, and enzymes and everything in that regard, keeping your body flowing and in motion, it helps with mental clarity, helps with stress, helps with anxiety, so those are all things that are going to benefit you through the holiday seasons and set you up for success that much more come the 2026 new year when it starts. So as much as it may feel like there's so much going on and there's so much animosity and there's so much shit just like, being thrown at us right now from just the commitments over the holidays, and then honestly just like your emotions running rampant because of the stress and how you feel about certain things and how you feel about seeing friends and family, like you still have so much more control, and it's on you to stay disciplined with these areas that we're talking about, to be very articulate with like going to the gym, moving our body, eating with intention, and staying hydrated and protecting our boundaries, doing our routines to make us feel good, is so we can get as much as we can owed to the holiday seasons. When we don't feel like we're in control, that's when we get overwhelmed. That's when we spiral. That's when we go crazy, think that we're doing a good enough job. And, then that's when you give up and you just say, fuck it. And then you just let the year close out on its own terms with you being reactive of it when there's so much room to be proactive. So if you focus on the things that make you feel your best, staying hydrated, eating food, moving your body, and just doing a little bit better than you can the day before. And also alongside that, because again, the time's so crazy and there's so many different time commitments going all over the place, you just got to focus on just controlling as much as you can with the best intentions and putting effort every day. Because some days are going to suck. There's going to be days where you have, like, let's say Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. There's multiple dinners you're going to have to go to, probably multiple people you're going to have to see, or you're, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum when you're sitting at home, maybe a little bit isolated and feel in your emotions. Maybe if you have the dinners and you're super busy and, you don't have as much time to go to the gym or put a workout in or, eat all these crazy foods, it's like go into those days feeling your best. Or then when you get to certain dinners or in between places, just walk around the car a little bit. Like all of the little intention and efforts matter. And maybe if you're a little bit more on the opposite side, more isolated, not having as much people around you, which is completely fine. I actually prefer more of an isolated holiday season because I don't know. I just was always like that. I still see my friends and family and do what I got to do, but at the same time, I'd rather it more way low key than anything else. And, I anticipate going to the gym on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Like I just, it's part of what makes me feel my best and regulated. And yeah, like, you know, it's always a game plan decision if I do go or not those days. But much rather be going with the anticipation that I want to go and will go because of how it makes me feel. And if you're one of those people that's, you know, maybe don't have that much family around and dealing with a little more of an isolated Christmas, and you are in your emotions, in your emotions and feelings, then it's like, go to the gym, move your body. They're open. Then go for your walk. Still track your your macros if you want to. Whatever makes you feel your best and in control. That's all that matters. There's no right or wrong way of doing anything, and you can't compare to anyone else because they're all lying, and their life isn't your life. And anyone in your shoes would be probably worse off than how you feel you are right now. You know, because we all are just, you know, we're always underestimating ourselves when we think of what our goals are and our capabilities, which is why this long-winded rant, it's not even really long-winded, it's only been what, like 11 minutes, which isn't even that bad. Usually I go over 20. It's just emphasizing that there's 18 days left of the year. The majority of the year is done and said. You can't change the outcome of what you've done this year, but that doesn't mean you can't make an impact still. 3 weeks is a long fucking time. It's just shy of a month. And if you can literally get focused on just showing up that much better, even if it doesn't have to do with anything I mentioned, just you can look in the mirror and just know that you're doing other areas. Like, you know, but let's just say, theoretically speaking, you're on the complete opposite end of the spectrum and you're not healthy or happy or fit in any area of your life. Even right now during the holidays, getting things set up in motion for you to at least feel in control of your thoughts and what's going on in your brain is still intentions. You can start journaling, start reading, doing all kinds of other things to just get more ahead of these things. So come the new year, you can start taking action versus sitting in the animosity, you know, almost hurting yourself in this position you may be in right now. That come the new year, you just have to just try to get yourself out of the hole you just dug yourself to then make those changes, right? You know, and if it's just slowly starting with water, and then in a new year starting with food, if it's like, you know, tackling everything right now, and then whatever it is, it's just, you got to understand that you have the control to change things, and 3 weeks is a long time. You know, when you think about it, if it is just a month, you only have 12 chances a year at trying to do over the month, you know, and that's why I'm trying to emphasize the fact that fucking 18 days is a lot of days, you know, and it's just all on us to control the most of what we can, and then make sure we're being proactive around whatever it is that we're dealing with and putting ourselves first so we can show up for everyone else around us our best. And that's just it, because that's all it is. It really is. And you just got to either that, like, it honestly, that's just it. Like, you have to fucking just respect it. Respect the time and understand that there's going to be a time in your life that you're going to look back on these 3 weeks and you're going to wish you would have done certain things differently if you aren't taking as much advantage of everything as you can. And it's not about reinventing the wheel, like I'm saying. It's not about perfection, but you do got to understand your time is super valuable. We all get the same 24 hours in a day. We all get the same 7 days a week. We all get the same 4 weeks in the same month, and the same month in the same year together. So you can't knock anyone else or knock yourself or do anything if you're not taking advantage of the fucking time. And I don't mean to kind of go a little bit aggressive on it, but if the second you start understanding the weight of each day and what it bears and how much it holds, then you're going to realize that every little bit of intention with eating better, tracking your food and moving your body better accumulates and compounds. And that's where your success comes from. You don't wake up and the shit is done. You're not going to magically start doing something different in the new year than you're doing right now, you know? So if you start layering down these foundations, layering down these habits and these systems and these routines, I can promise you 2026, not only will you be 18 days and 3 weeks ahead of that motherfucker, but you will absolutely catapult yourself within the first third of 2026 and absolutely change your life and blow your mind as to what's capable. And the crazy thing is, there's a lot of stats that show that the first quarter of the year, whoever can make it past February, statistically speaking, 80% more likely to finish off the rest of the year with their goals. Most people, majority of people that say they're going to start the new year and change their life, almost 90% of them give out before the end of January. And then there's a little bit of a gap that starts to trickle off around Valentine's Day because it's 6 weeks into the year. And then most people that crush January and February, the first 8 weeks of the year, end up statistically showing to change their fucking life that much more. And if you can get 3 weeks ahead of that now, into that momentum and feeling fucking good and knowing you gave it your all for the rest of this year, and enjoyed the fucking holidays, it's a win-win-win. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to leave it there. Appreciate you guys all a ton. Let's just lock in the last 18 days of this year and keep leading from the motherfucking front. Let's go.